I don't know how many of you have been around long enough to remember this little fella, or fellette, whatever you want to call it, but this is that little white Borg cube that I think I first got my hands on this thing 5 years ago. I saw the case online on Amazon or somewhere in Newegg, and I just couldn't I couldn't help myself. And the idea was this was going to be like a gaming and emulation rig for gaming, that kind of thing. You know, I'm not a big gamer, but I like to build the machines that can do it. And so that passed, and we've got a gaming machine in the living room that's dedicated to it now, to retro gaming. So this one just kind of has been sitting here on the floor under my workbench, and I've been intrigued by older operating systems, XP, Vista, Windows 7, and I thought to myself, you don't have a period machine that you can run those three operating systems on, but you could certainly build one. And so that's what this video is all about. I'm going to try to build a retro machine that's just powerful enough to run XP and then Vista and Windows 7 as well. Now, we had a mouse problem here. I don't like to talk about it because, I don't want people to think I keep a dirty or filthy house or anything. We typically don't. But occasionally you'll get an infestation of mice, and it's hard to get rid of them. You got to kill them all at one time. But anyway, they're gone, but the damage has been done. And one of the things they did was make this house, this little case, their habitat, because I had left the power supply out of the bottom, even though the machine was covered with the cases. I'd left the opening on the bottom open, and the mice get in there, and they just, they went to town. They didn't need any wires, but they peed and they pooped like mice will do. Fortunately, this case is very easy to kind of take everything apart, pop these covers off, and clean them. And I've done a thorough job now of getting this thing clean to where I'm ready to reassemble. And it's got a really kind of unique setup. So the power supply goes down there, the drive bays are there, and then the motherboard mounts up here. You can put a rear-facing fan in here, that kind of thing. The fan it comes with on the front is a big old, 180, 300. I don't know what size that fan is. I couldn't measure it, but my tape measure is in the other room. It's got a little bling on it. So you know me and bling. I kind of like bling now. And then it's got a DVD or a CD rewritable in there. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's a DVD rewritable. So this could be used to rip DVDs and not Blu-rays, but DVDs. I could put a Blu-ray ripper in it. I could do that. But the point is it'll have access to optical media as well. And then my plan is to put not only XP on it, but to put Vista on it and to put Windows 7 on it and be able to boot between those three operating systems. Now, one of the reasons I don't use this case more often is because when you do have a rodent problem or an animal problem or whatever, animals can get up on top here and do their business, and it gets into these top USB slots or the power switch or the reset switch. So I've cleaned all that out, opened it up. It was more dirty over here than it was here. There was hardly anything in there, but we cleaned it up. It's got this for RAM, and I'm too lazy to look it up, but it's got this Kingston HyperX Fury RAM. Let's see. I'll flash it up here. There's the model of the RAM. So I'll go look it up here in a minute, and then I'll flash it on the screen what size RAM this is. So it's got good RAM in it, and I've got an Antec 450 watt power supply I'm going to put into it. And then I've got a spinning rust 1 terabyte spinning rust drive. And then I've got another tray that I can put an SSD in. So I'll take one of these old SSDs I have laying around up here, like maybe this Crucial. And well, I love Crucial. They make really good. Oh, I can't do it with that one. That one's got Monterey and Big Sur on it, but one of these old SSDs. What year it is? 2014. This drive's 11 years old. We might be able to get some more life out of it. So pop that into it. So we'll put that in there. And then I've got a video card I want to put in there too, that I think would be period correct for the machine. It might be a little more powerful than XP needs, but it's one of the first halfway decent cards I ever started out with, and I got it used, and I always had trouble with the fans, and then I finally found somebody who sold the Gigabyte fans, sold the fans with a label on them that would work. But this is no slouch. This is a 950 GTX 950. It's only a 2 gig card, but we're talking about XP, we're talking about retro games, and we're talking about, Windows 7 and Vista. I think that'd be perfect for the genre of machine. It's only got 2 gig, but keep in mind, we're not going to be running AI on this thing or anything like that, and it should be powerful enough to run the games of that period and to give us plenty of power for. Now, not only could it be that we've got a bad motherboard, because I did my best to clean it, but it could be it's just reached its end of life. So it's only got 2 SATA ports anyway. It's kind of a slow older board. I think it's a 2nd gen i5 or i3 on here. I don't know, not very powerful. So I got the replacement motherboard in from the eBays. Sorry, my desk is a mess. So I got this H97. I've used this board before. I love this board. I got a really good deal on this board. It's H97N. Now, actually, it's got a spot for a Wi-Fi card, so I can put a Wi-Fi card in here. But let's see, H97N, and it came with this lovely CPU on it. So it's got a i5 4th gen 4460 CPU, Core i5, and some RAM. I think it's 2 gig of RAM. So we can't just, I'm going to assume that this may be bad, this power supply, maybe. I don't think it is. I don't think this is the problem. But that's okay, because I went ahead and said, well, if I'm going to build this machine and it's going to be something I use on a regular basis, I might as well do it upright. So I went in and got this Aris Game AGV bronze power supply, 5-year warranty. It was in other words, I bought the cheapest power supply I could find. Now it is, let's see. So this is the AGV. This is the, which one? Is this the, which one is this? The 500 watt. So it's non-modular, of course. I could have gone up and got the 650, but it's not modular. The 750 was. And I think this is semi-modular. But find out. Probably not. Probably not. But, hopefully I'll have room to hide all those connectors. Yeah, it's not modular, I don't think. Let's see. No, it doesn't look modular to me. Nope. Not modular at all. But, hey, it's new. So there's that. So let me. I got some work to do, don't I? I'll probably put the power supply in first, so I can get all the cables moved. Now the problem is that that little back plane right there belongs to the other motherboard. It may or may not fit this one. Let's find out. Wouldn't that be a hoot if it fit? So I think these are the same series of boards. That'd be a hoot. Because I ordered one on a slow boat from China. Got a rowboat to find you. Yeah, no, this isn't going to work. But that's good, because I did order one from China. So it'll be here when it gets here. This one's not going to work. And that's okay. I don't mind waiting a couple of months. So it's not going to stop me from putting this together. But the reason I want to make sure I have the cover, because it's easy enough to pull. There's only like 4 screws that hold this motherboard in. But instead of, I can easily pull it out and put the cover in, because we occasionally get mice in our house, and I don't want them crawling inside of this thing, doing to it again what they did to this board, which is, I think, is they urinated on it and poopied on it. And even though I cleaned it off and soaked it in alcohol and made sure it was okay, I think it may have just kind of, the acid in their urine or whatever may have damaged a component on the board. That's why I don't want to try this RAM yet till I try it with their RAM, because this is what it's guaranteed to work with. So if it doesn't work even with their stuff, and yes, I did get a cooler. I got only the best. Only the best here at Uncle Joe's Playhouse. Look at the box in this thing. It's like I went into a back alley somewhere and found the creepiest villain and said, "Hey, you got a CPU cooler for this i5 I'm getting in?" And he said, "Yes, I do." And here it is. It's a new item, and it's obviously an Intel knockoff. But for our job, for our purposes, it should work just fine. If not, we can add another cooler later. So, man, I got some assembly work to do. So. 1. So it appears that this motherboard is going to work. It's been running all night, and it's been running Vista all night. It hasn't missed a lick. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down and put it together permanently. And then, I am going to check out the DVD-ROM drive. I think I have some blank CDs or DVDs that we can write to. And I'm going to make sure everything is hooked up. But the board fit, power connectors. I'm just going to start with the onboard video on here instead of burdening this thing with a video card, because I'm going to do a bunch of videos around this entire machine. So I'd rather have it with its out of the box settings rather than putting some video card on there and introducing that into the equation. So let me get this buttoned up and the spinning rust hard drive installed, and then we can actually start installing some operating systems on here. This ought to be fun. Alright, so we got all the cables hooked up, and I've verified everything's spinning, but one thing I didn't do was take the RAM out and replace it with the RAM it needs. Hello? There we go. These are a little booger to get out. Even this RAM's expensive, I'm sure. Was it DDR3? Let's see. Doesn't really say. I would imagine this is Hynix. No, I don't know what it is. But we're going to put good old Kingston RAM in there. So it appears I have the RAM in there now. Let's see if it'll boot. It'll be interesting to see if it does, or it has to rejigger itself. Yeah, it looks like it's coming up. We'll have it go into Windows 7 real quick. Again, we're going to put all this over here and work on it. So we'll see if it sees this RAM. That would be kind of nice, right? I purposely left the network cards unplugged. Yeah, it sees 16 gig, 15.8 gig usable. So that's a plus. That's good. That's good news. Okay, let's go play and get some different operating systems on here. Just buttoned up. Oh, does it see the hard drive, the spinning rust? That's another good question. Yep, there it is. There's on my ROMs. So yeah, it sees it. Good. Wow, I miss Windows 7. Cool. Alright, well, we'll shut it down, get it over on the back where it belongs. So I picked up one of these, and I had on hand one of these. Only the best at Uncle Joe's Playhouse. You green. Seems to be a trend with me here. Why? Well, it just works. Well made, appears to be. M2 NVMe SSD enclosure to, supposed to convert it to USB. Let's see. Yeah, input USB-C, output M2 M key. So it supports all those operating systems, all those sizes, and it's for the sole purpose of putting operating systems on this little beastie, you remember. For this little beast right here, that's I used to call this the Borg, because it was a Borg cube, but now I don't know what I'm going to call it. But I need to make another one of these. You ever use this? Can you not read upside down? What's the big deal? We'll flip it in post. Anyway, Medicat utilities. Interesting. And why would I need a Medicat utilities disk? Well, why wouldn't you need one? So we're going to resurrect this machine that we just put new parts, well, new used parts into, and we're going to install several different operating systems on it. But in order to get that to the point where I can use it, I gotta make this, and I might as well show you how to do it because this is one hell of a tool to have on hand. So in order to get this drive to work, to show this, I'm out at the command line, and actually list disk. There you go. I'm out of the command line, and I'm looking for that 256 gig drive that I put into that housing, and I can see it there. Let's see if the program I need sees it. So we need to go into the work directory, and we're going to run Medicat underscore installer. Now, you need to find this file, download it. It's fine to download. And you need to copy it into a folder where you can work on it. The next thing you need to do is disable your antivirus, because if you don't disable your antivirus, this is going to fail. So I'm going to run it. And it's kind of kludgy the way it works. All right, I'm going to try to select drive letter D. I'm going to install it. And then I'm going to try to tell it drive letter D. Okay. And it's going to confirm. Okay, it's correct. I'm not going to use GPT. I'm not going to use Secure Boot. Okay, it's installed Ventoy. Now, you can ignore this message that it comes up and just be patient and wait. Turn off your antivirus softwares because a lot of this stuff that it's installing could see. Yeah, found threats. Dismiss. Hopefully it didn't do anything with those threats, because that can stop your install cold. I think I've turned it off. So, and here is the next program that it runs. And basically it checks the CRC, or the hash, of all the files that it's installed, because it wants to make sure the files are legit. And it'll tell you up here, okay, bad, missing. All right, so it shows me there were 49 missing files. I don't know if these are going to cause any problems, but I'm not going to worry about them. I'm going to close that, go over here, hit enter, and it should be now that this drive, Medicat, is ready to go. And if you want to know, so here it is. Here's Medicat. Here's the disk it created. And if you look under here, OS images, it tells me to put your Windows installation ISOs here. So I got a couple of them. Let's go find them. They're on my network. Under ISOs, template. There's this one, this one, this one that I definitely want. So I'm going to copy those, paste them here. Not too bad writing to USB 3. It's not the fastest, but it's faster than spinning Rust, that's for sure. Getting pretty good speeds. Not happy with that. Let me see if the Windows 10 ISO is out here. Should be, here it is, Windows 10, Internet of Things, Enterprise LTSC. This is the one I believe I use for Windows 10. Yeah, they all came in around the same time. So we'll copy this one as well and paste that into the OS images. So when I take this drive over to the studio desk behind me and boot it up, we'll see what operating systems we can install. Yeah, so I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I put a video card in here and quit using the onboard video, and well, let's just see if I'm doing any better here. So I'm not going to enter a product code, because I don't really care, and I'm sorry I'm doing all this freehand, but I want to make sure it's going to work. So yeah, and it does. So disk 0 is going to we're going to delete that partition, and we're going to delete this partition, and we're going to set up a we're going to split the drive is 238 gig. So Alexa, what's 238 divided by 3?
238 divided by 3 is approximately 79.3333.
So we're going to make this an 80 gig hard drive. So our partition, because I still have to get Windows 7 and I still have to get whatchamacallit on there. So we'll do 80,000 and then apply. And then I think it jumps right into the install. No, it doesn't. On Windows 7, I believe it does. We'll have to be careful when we install Windows 7. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next, and we're going to let it install. And hopefully, without my finger in the shot, we're going to I have a gimbal for this. I'm such a moron. Anyway, we'll come back when something is done. All right, so I finally got it to boot and install by putting in GTX 950. I don't know. It's a video card. I'll tell you what video card it is later. Off the top of my head, I don't remember. It's a 2 gig card, one I had laying around. The Dell that I was previously installing Vista on down here has the same 4th gen i5 CPU in it, and so I didn't understand why this wouldn't work, but it just doesn't like that GPU that's built into this to this CPU, because I can use it and install Vista just fine with this add-on video card. It'll boot up here in a second. Hopefully go right into Vista. And so the only thing I can figure is that there's a problem with the onboard video on this 4th gen whatever it is, because there's my login screen, and I can enter my super secret password.
Timothy, here is your reminder. Feed all fish.
Oh, thank you.
Timothy, here is your reminder.
So it's an i5 4660, 3.2 gig, 16 gig of RAM, and Vista. And it's running. So now what I'm going to do is button this all back up again. We're going to move it over here again. And then we're going to plug this little USB thingy, NVMe USB 3 adapter thingy in, boot off of it into the Windows 7 installer, and continue on with our triple header operating system install. What are we going to call this little girl? Vista 7.8? Vista 8.7? I don't know. Vista 8.7, that's what we'll call it. Vista 8.7. Just because. It's a catchy name. I'm so smart. Vista 8.7. Now the plan was to hook up a capture device between the laptop and and the Vista 8.7 machine, and show you how I install Windows 7, but I don't need to do that. However, I have to get ready to press F12 repeatedly once this restarts, so it'll boot off the internal drive. So I'm going to do that now. Wait for the keyboard to light up, press F12. To continue the Windows setup. So the order of install is Vista, 7, and then 8. And then I think that's the most active partitions you can have is 3, if the old memory serves me correctly. So I couldn't put XP on here. I tried it before. So this will be a Windows Vista, a Windows 7, and a Windows 8, or Vista 8.7 machine. That's its name. Anyway, so when you install Vista, like we did earlier, and then you come back and install Windows 7, you need to keep in mind you're going to need to take another third of the partition of the drive size for your partition for Windows 7 and leave enough behind for Windows 8 install. So I split this up 80, 80, and 80 roughly. Let's just say 75, 75, 75. So 3 75 gig partitions, and this one I've installed Windows 7 onto. So we'll get Windows 7 installed. Again, I'm installing all these. They're not connected to the they're not even connected to my LAN, much less the internet, because I want to put them on a separate system that doesn't have internet access, so I need to set up a VLAN to do that. That's another reason I got that switch for this workbench, is so I can set these up on their own VLAN and not have it, be part of, not have internet, and have it be like a sandboxed environment. So we'll let Windows 7 complete its installation, and then we'll reboot and we'll do the Windows 8 install, or 8.1, whichever it is. Alright, so we verified Windows 7 is indeed installed, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a restart. And I'm going to get my finger ready over the F12 key, because I want to boot off of the drive we put in here, the external NVMe. So I'm going to choose the inland NVMe. And you notice I'm not choosing UEFI. All these operating systems work best with MBR and all that kind of good stuff, so no need for UEFI. So I'm going to boot off the inland, which is the Medicat utilities disk. And the first time I press a key, it brings me up to this editor screen for some reason. So I'm still pressing the arrow keys. And what I want to do is choose Install Windows. And now I'm going to do Windows 8.1 English x64. And I'm going to boot in normal mode, and I'm going to pray that this installer comes up. We shall see. Doing this live for you folks. Well, not live, but first time I've done it. And hopefully it'll find the mouse and the keyboard. Well, it's making some progress. Well, that's a good sign. Yep, mouse works. Let's do an install now. Yeah, I forgot how much Windows 10 install looks like Windows 8. I'm not going to enter a key. Don't care. Oh, do I have to? Wow, I'm going to need a product key. Huh. Thought I could skip that. All right, well, let me go get a product key. All right, so we've got this unit shut down. I'm going to remove the NVMe drive. Now, I am going to leave the old mouse and keyboard plugged in, because if we boot into Vista, now what it should do is boot off the hard drive now, and should boot into the Windows 8.1 bootloader. Yeah, it looks like Windows 10, but it's actually Windows 8.1. And then I can I can choose Windows 8.1, Windows 7, or Windows Vista to boot into. I'm going to select 8.1 just to show you it's working. And there we are. Now, that's not just where we are. Do you remember what a horrible interface this was? Look, remember that? Not only did they do that on 8.1, they did this on the server version as well. And I was none at all too pleased about that when it appeared on the server. So you can imagine my dismay. This is one operating system I skipped right over. Right over it, I skipped. Because I was quite happy on Windows 7. And I played with Windows 8.1 and didn't like what they'd done to the. They tried to turn it into a tablet operating system or a touch screen interface, and I just wasn't in the mood for it at the time. So, but there you go. So now we have triple booting, Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8.1. One thing we don't have working in Vista is this keyboard and mouse with Vista, probably because of it's going through a switch or a hub, and Vista just doesn't care for it. But it works with a regular mouse and keyboard just fine. So we'll have to figure that out later. But there you go. It's in place, and it's still left me with plenty of legroom here. And we'll get the cables all tidied up now. We got our switch on the desktop. And yeah, there it is, right back there. Got our switch on the desktop. So we'll set this network up on its own VLAN. Probably put this one on its own VLAN. Make it really hard for it to get out to the internet without some input on my part. And then this one will just be our AI workhouse and gaming unit. And I can still fit. And one monitor, one keyboard, and one mouse to rule them all. Now, mind you, this install did not come without, well, its own set of problems. One of the problems I had, a serious problem I had, was getting the keyboard and mouse through the switch box, through the HDMI KVM switch to work. In fact, it's still not working. As you can see, I've got a secondary keyboard and mouse plugged in there, so I'm not happy with that. The other thing was finding drivers for the networking that would work under Vista, and I finally prevailed. Spent about, a couple of days looking for the drivers when I had time, and finally got them installed and working. So, all told, the thing is working, just not the way I had planned it to. So, I'm rethinking what I've done with this machine, and maybe we're going to forego Vista altogether and maybe just install Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10 and leave it at that, and leave Vista for maybe another retro machine or something. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but we are going to do some other exciting things with the little cube down there. And keep in mind, I also purchased one of these. That is the Unifi Flex Mini for $29. Can you believe that? So I'm all in on my Unifi ecosphere, and I think you know why. It just allows me to manage everything on one pane of glass. I'm an old guy. I like simplicity, and I like stuff that really works. And let me tell you, it's been a rocky road with Unifi over the last 10, 15 years I've been using them. I've been using them since I came out. I saw the potential, but there was a lot of stuff that just irritated me about Unifi. But those days are behind me. There's only a few things that irritate me about Unifi now. And their prices, you can see this Flex Mini, it's a perfect switch. What allows me to do is set up VLANs on that desk to my little heart's content, and that is the key to life. And now, of course, I could have saved some money if I hadn't rebuilt it. And it's nice to see that machine down there being put to some use. Now, what is it going to do for me in the future? I don't know. It'll give me a place to play with 7, 8, and 10. And, it does have a DVD reader on there. Wonder how hard it is to get Blu-ray readers these days. I know they're not cheap. Last time I priced them, they were about $200. But I got one in my main machine here, so maybe we'll move some stuff around. Maybe we won't. But anyway, we hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. And I am so sorry it took me a while to get this one out. But if you knew how busy I was, you'd understand why my videos have taken kind of the back burner to everything else. We hope you found it entertaining and informative. Please give us a like, give us a dislike, leave your comments in the comments section, and subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber, let YouTube know you're watching us. And if you are coming back and watching us, thank you so much. I want you to know how much I appreciate it. And please don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side. Have a very Merry Christmas.
I've been watching old Unky Joe. From Texas heat to where the cacti grow. Fixing server solar power in the land. Hoping that his plans all stand. Making life a touch more